These are the adventures of a temporarily out of work wife and mother. And I did a thing. I DIY'd my master and hallway bathrooms. And you may have seen the previous videos where I uploaded each day's work. Well, I went back and I compiled those videos, re-edited them, and put the videos together based on each section of the project. And this section is the painting section. I started with removing the doorknobs, and then I cleaned and used the liquid sandpaper to remove the shine and dirt from the doors, the trim, and the baseboards in both of the bathrooms. And then before I painted them with door and trim paint, I taped off everything. I got the tape and this paint from the Amazon. Since I forgot to buy paint stirrers at the onset of this project, I used those popsicle sticks for waxing to stir that paint, and since it was only a quart can, it worked out perfectly. I got some paint stirrers later before I used the gallon-size paint to paint the walls. And I did not film painting the door, trim, and baseboards in the hallway bathroom because it looked exactly the same. So this footage is for the master bathroom. But everything that I did in one bathroom, I did in the other, and I did one immediately after the other. I also painted the over-the-toilet storage cabinet in the master bathroom, and I used the milk paint that I got from the Amazon. Now, milk paint is intended for use on wood furniture and/or cabinetry. So I ended up using this milk paint for several other parts of this project. And I have lots of it left over because I'm going to use it again for additional home improvement projects. Now, the jury is still out on whether I'm going to paint the kitchen cabinets this same gray color or if I'm going to paint them black. Let me know in the comments what you think. Should I paint the kitchen cabinets the same gray and keep this theme going throughout my home? Or should I switch it up and go with the black, since everything in my kitchen is going to be black with white, silver, gray, and blue accents? Now, back to this over-the-toilet storage cabinet. I decided to only paint the top half. One, because it would be very difficult to paint the bottom half around the toilet since it is affixed to the wall and can't be moved. And I didn't want to risk painting the toilet or the floor or the wall or any of the other things. Plus, I thought it looked better like that. I also did not paint on the inside of that little door because who is going to see that? I mean, I painted along the edges so that you wouldn't see the white when the door is closed, but And I painted the outside of the door, but inside, no, I wasn't doing that. Now, I'm a perfectionist and I like everything done just so and all that good stuff, but that was a bridge too far. So next up was painting the walls. And if you watched any of those other videos where I showed you the day by day, blow by blow, then you know that it was important that I go ahead and tape off this vanity in the mirror as well as the bathtub, because I had made a huge error the day before because I was tired and I allowed that lady's son that I married to get in my head. So now, well rested and with a new attitude, I was ready to conquer the world, or at least paint these walls. So I started with removing all of the outlet covers, the light switch covers, and taping off the trim, baseboards, and floors. I didn't tape off the ceilings because I plan to paint the ceilings too. I also went ahead and took some time to scrape off the old paint that was on the side of the shower, left behind by the original builders. And now I'm cleaning out the bathtub and getting any residual paint that might still be on it off of it so that I can tape it off for painting as well. As you see, I painted most of that wall with that milk paint. That's the huge mistake that I was referencing. And now it's time for the painting. So I started in the shower. I'm standing on that step stool that I'd been using throughout the project. And I cut in the paint along the edges, top, bottom, and sides before using the roller. I love the clean look of the bright white, so I decided to go with bright white in the master bathroom. And I know a lot of people don't like white anywhere in their house, let alone in the bathroom. But considering that lady's son that I married and I are really the only ones who are ever in our master bathroom, and I don't have to really worry about kids or anybody else being in it and getting it dirty, and I used a good semi-gloss that's easy to wipe off, I'm not really worried about it. Now, y'all probably saw that little patch that came up when I was rolling the paint on, because I patched that area the day before. And I'm not sure if I went back and sanded it or not. And I wasn't going back and fixing it. So then I tried to use the little mini roller, but it kept leaving stuff on the wall. And somebody on YouTube gave me a great tip that I didn't know before, but I know for next time. She said basically take a piece of tape and wrap it around the roller, almost like a lint roller, and then pull it off, and it'll pull off all of those fuzzies and flyaways that are on the roller. And now we are just moving around the bathroom. And I think the thing that I hate the most about painting is having to get up on a step stool or a ladder to paint up high. So the next project that I do, I'm going to get a longer extender pole, and I'm also going to get the kind of brushes that can go on the pole. That way I don't even have to climb even to do the cut-in. Cutting in around the mirror was actually harder than I expected because the plastic was just in the way. Even with it properly tucked behind the mirror, it was still in the way because it was like clinging to it. So I got it done though. And now painting around that over the toilet storage cabinet and trying not to drip paint on it or bump it with the roller or the paintbrush was a task. I ended up getting paint on it, having to go back and touch up some spots, but that's what comes with painting. And then painting the wall in between the toilet and the cabinet and the Lord Jesus, that was frustrating and annoying. Okay, especially this part right here. But I was like determined to make sure that I got as much of the wall as was humanly possible, and I did. Between the brush and the roller, I made it happen without painting the whole side of the storage cabinet. And eventually I got smart and sat down on the step stool and painted it like that because I'm not really sure why I was bending over like I don't have a bad back. One thing for sure and two things for certain, you got to have a whole lot of confidence to get on this here internet looking how I was looking throughout this project because I was focused, honey. Head looking a mess, clothes all jacked up, paint all over me. And now to fix this wall, thank God I got some good paint, and it was definitely a one-hitter quitter kind of paint. Now, I definitely did go over it with 2 coats, and I did some touch-ups as well, but that milk paint did not bleed through, and there isn't any discoloration lingering over time. And then I freestyled the edge where the tub ends and the door starts. I didn't tape it because I had already painted the wall over the door, and I didn't want to mess that up. Somehow I actually managed to get a straight line. I'm proud of me. It needs to be touched up though, and I'll probably do that in the next day or so. And once that was done, I finished painting that last wall over the tub, and y'all know what that looks like now that y'all have seen the final project. When the painting was complete, I removed all of the tape that was left because I did remove that tape as I went along to ensure that I didn't mess up anything and I could remove any paint that may have bled through. And once I was done cleaning up in the master bathroom, I headed on over to the kids' bathroom. Now, their bathroom, I painted an off-white color so that it would match their shower and sink. Obviously, our showers and sinks are the same color, but their bathroom being significantly smaller, it would have stood out more if the walls did not match. Not to mention, bright white in the kids' bathroom would have been a bad idea. And once their bathroom was painted and everything was cleaned up, it was time to tackle the ceilings. So I started with cleaning the ceilings. Then I removed the air and vent covers. Then I put them in a bucket of hot water and Mr. Clean to soak while I tackled the ceilings. So I almost made a huge mistake here, and as soon as I started, I stopped myself. Thank the Lord. I almost forgot to tape off the walls first. And that's important for a lot of reasons, but one of the main ones being that the last thing you want is for the paint to drip off the ceiling onto the wall. And now you're trying to remove partially dried paint from all the way dry paint, which is never going to happen. So I went ahead and taped that off, and I got the paint in. And as you see, that paint started dripping. It dripped down off that tape, but it was easy to see and get off. Then I removed that tape as soon as I was done cutting in the edges, allowing me to immediately wipe off any paint that bled through while it was still wet. With that done, I painted the rest of the ceiling with a roller, washed and dried the air and vent covers, reinstalled them, knocking myself in the head, and painting is done.